It's time for the birthday girl, Jackie Redmond, my friend and yours. WWE, TNT, the Jackie Redmond Show. It all. What's up, Jackie? How are we doing? Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. And thank you for not saying how old I'm turning, because I listened to you rant about how old you feel this morning coming in and talking to the kids fam.
Yeah.
And
really you're just one of them. You're also 27.
Off the top.
No, you're just like them, 27. You want to also ask questions about O.J. Simpson to the old people? Like, who is he? That's, you know what, though? That's a good way to fake it now. That's a good way to stay young, is just ask questions. Just not know anything about anything and only know it through.
Yeah, just play dumb. Play dumb for any pop culture references that predate, like, 2005.
So the thing that I'm learning more of from Gen Z is that they don't know anything from television. They know everything from memes. And so, like, they didn't know who Jon Stewart was. And you know how Armin referenced Jon Stewart to me? He said, "Oh, the popcorn GIF guy." And I went, "What?" That's how he knew him. And so, yeah, there's no, like, looking back and knowing anything else. It's just, whatever you can absorb within 5 seconds in your brain from an internet meme, that's all you can do. But yes, happy birthday, happy birthday. I actually have some birthday thoughts for you later before we close this thing off.
Okay.
But, okay, so I got to start with the hot stuff, which is the Leaf stuff. And you are a big-time Darcy Tucker fan, okay? And I'm not trying to say Max Domi is Darcy Tucker, but Darcy Tucker wasn't the Leafs' most talented player. He was the player that resonated the most with the fan base during that period of time. And I still think Matthews is the Leafs' most popular player, but are you feeling the same feelings about Max Domi that a lot of this fan base is?
1,000%. I think that, it's so crazy that we're talking so much about Domi, and Domi's, in a lot of ways dominating headlines, for lack of a better phrase right now, because you're like, what year is it? Why are we talking so much about this Domi? But I think that we connect to Domi because he exudes the passion that Leafs fans have for the team. Like, I have a group chat with my family, and every time the Leafs play, it's going off. And my sister has a line for anytime the Leafs start a game flat, which, in the last handful of years has been quite often, or they're just kind of laying an egg or not really playing to their potential. And it's always in all caps, where's the passion? Like, where is it? And I think the reason that we are so tied to Domi in this moment is because he has found a way to bring that passion to life on the ice in a meaningful way, not just dropping the gloves because he feels like he has to, or doing things to try to live up to the expectations or the persona that he's expected to have, but because he actually feels it. And he actually knows what it means to be a Toronto Maple Leaf and to appeal to the fan base. And he's doing it in an effective way, not a way that costs the team defensively, at least right now. And I think that's why people are they feel so connected to Domi in this moment as he's been playing with Auston Matthews. And he found a spot. Like, he hasn't had a spot all season. We've wondered if this Domi thing could work. And now Sheldon Keefe has found a way for it to work. And it's worked in a way that appeals to people that have been rooting for this team for so long.
Totally agree.
And he's not overwhelmed by it, right?
No.
Like, I think Mitch Marner
embraces it.
I think Mitch Marner understands what it means to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. I think he understands what it means to be a Maple Leafs fan favorite or to appeal to the fan base. I think he totally gets it. But I also think that Mitch Marner, at a lot of times in his tenure, especially in high-stakes, high-pressure moments, is overwhelmed by it. I don't think Max Domi is intimidated by what it means to perform or be an effective member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think he actually embraces that pressure. I don't think he's a player that will be overcome by it, especially in the postseason. And that is a massive W for Toronto.
No, it's huge. It feels like Max Domi is the inside man on the Leafs, right? He's the fan that everybody has put in there, like, hey, go in there and teach them about passion and caring and giving a crap. And yeah, I think that I think about this a lot, right? Like, what is authenticity and why people resonate the way that they do? And I just feel like Max Domi, the way that he plays, and the joy that he brings to the ice, the passion in which he plays with is authentic. It's real. And it works for people. And so now, this offseason, there will be time for contract talk. Now it's going to be playoff talk. But I really,
Let's get rid of the contract talk. I'm already over it.
Well, I really
Save it
do
for later.
hope. I really do hope that they can find a way to make this happen year over year over year. Because to me, he's a great fit with Auston Matthews, and I wouldn't mind seeing this for the rest of Auston Matthews' tenure as a Toronto Maple Leaf, especially on a fair deal for both sides. Okay, so by the way, do you have thoughts on Matthews 68 playing? If he's sitting at 68 or 69 heading into the final season, do you care? What's your thought with rest versus chasing 70?
Okay, so I do have thoughts on that, but I did want to add one more thing to the Domi conversation because I agree with you in terms of like seeing him with Auston Matthews. I think we have to go with it because it works. Not only does it work for Domi and for Matthews, but I think that it has a real positive effect on the rest of the lineup right now. But also, if Domi is around next year and this team can tweak their roster a little bit and adjust some of the holes in their roster, then that becomes magnified as well. And just to further illustrate the point I was making before about Domi not only understanding what it means to be a Maple Leaf and to appeal to the fan base in an effective way, it's by doing it without costing the Leafs anything. Like, remember when David Clarkson became a Maple Leaf?
Of course.
He totally knew what it meant to be a fan favorite and how he could fit that role, but he didn't understand in a lot of ways how to navigate that line without crossing it. You know what I mean? And so I think that Domi gets it in from that standpoint as well. Okay, Auston Matthews, he has to get 70. Don't rest him. He has to get 70. It's like the MVP conversation is a totally separate thing, and I am curious your thoughts on it. Like, if he hits 70, should he be MVP? Because there are people that think it's an automatic. I think that's up for debate. But this is something so special and so rare that I think if Auston Matthews were to sit a couple of games to avoid injury or not do something right before the playoffs, it could be something where 20 years from now, he looks back and is like, man, I could have been one of 9 players to ever score 70 goals in a season. And I didn't do it because I was worried about, I didn't play one game because I was worried about getting hurt for a playoffs that in the end might not even matter. He might not win anything. So I would want to go for it. I hope that he wants to go for it. I hope the Leafs let him go for it. And I hope he does it in the next game. Like, just score 2 next game, and then it's done, and it's not a conversation. But it's hard not to think about. I think it was Patrice Bergeron last year that played that. Yeah, it was Bergeron played that game in Montreal right before the postseason because he knew it was probably going to be his last chance to play there, and he got hurt right before the playoffs. Right? I'd be curious if he regrets that decision now. My guess would be, in hindsight, no.
I would also say no, because he was probably thinking that's a freak accident. It could have happened any time, because that's the way that you need to think about this stuff. Ultimately, the scenario, the quote-unquote doomsday scenario we're talking about here is Auston Matthews playing another 18 minutes. Like, that's it. 18 minutes. Should something freakish happen, then I'll worry about it then. But to me, I am a kind of a believer in this scenario, is they say that if you fret about stuff like this, you actually live it twice, because you're worried about it now, and then if it does happen, you worry about it anyways, right? So I don't want to live in that reality twice. I would rather just enjoy the pursuit of the 70 goals, realize that this is something that I, have not seen in my adult life. Like, I don't remember 93 when this last happened. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not that old, so I don't have a memory of that. So I want to see it. I think that it's important, and I want goal scorers to care about stats. I do. I like goal scorers caring about statistics. I think that's a big, important part of the
historic ones.
Yeah, exactly. And so for Auston Matthews, I really hope he hits 70. I don't know. I don't think it will materially change the MVP conversation, which is kind of whatever. I really think that it is an odd MVP season where you could tell me that it's any of 5 guys, and I would go, yeah, okay, that's fair. 4 specifically, but yeah, 5, and I go, yep, you can make the case. But for Matthews, I think the season is special, and to cap it off with 70 and to have that positive momentum rolling into the postseason and the feelings that this group would have about that, not just for Matthews, but for the rest of them realizing that, like, they contributed. to me, that upside is more than the risk of getting hurt over the course of 18 minutes.
You know what's crazy too is a lot of people are talking about, okay, he's probably going to hit 70. He's got 68 and only I think it's 2 empty netters in those 68.
Yeah.
51 of his goals have come at even strength. 51.
Yeah, he's not a power play merchant.
That is wild to me. Yeah, like he's not just like racking it up on the man advantage. He is doing this at 5-on-5, and it's just so crazy to think how dominant he has been at doing the hardest thing to do in the NHL. Like Nathan McKinnon, I think is second in even strength goals. It might be 40 or 41. I can't remember, but it's wild to me that he has that many at even strength. Yeah,
McKinnon has 41 even strength goals. 10 behind Matthews, and he's number 2. And I do think that, the power play still matters a lot, and the Leafs have been pretty dry there again now heading into the postseason to the point where I'm nervous about it again, and I'd like to see it click for the last couple of regular season games. I wish it felt more like a weapon, but it should be stated that like guys like Kucherov going to have he's got 98 assists. He's probably going to hit 100, 141 points, leads the league. Definitely someone who has a good Hart case. But he's got 52 power play points. Auston Matthews has 28. So when we're doing all the 5-on-5 stuff, and we always do that expected goals for, and we use everything 5-on-5, 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 and I think it should at least just be noted that while a skill set and while a valuable one, and it doesn't take away from any of those points, that, Matthews is, sitting at almost half of what this guy has on the power play.
And I'll say this, too, about the Leafs power play going into the postseason. Obviously, you want to have a solid power play and be able to make your opponent's pay in the postseason. But I do think it is something that we, not just with the Leafs, I just think in general when we cover hockey, kind of overemphasize in the playoffs because, as we know, there's a lot fewer penalties called in the postseason. I think the majority of series are usually played at 5-on-5, and the penalty kill is way more important. So while you prefer to have a solid power play that can convert when given the opportunity, it's not the end-all, be-all if your power play is only mediocre in the postseason. Like, it's not something that has me, worried going into the playoffs, like, oh, no, if the Leafs don't get their power play going, they're going to be in trouble. I think they have other issues that are a little bit more concerning that come into play for more parts of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But I'm very worried about it. I think they need it. I think they've got to be dominant on the power play and, make teams afraid of losing that battle to them. I think the penalty kill has been much better. It's been normalized, which is great because it was a disaster before. But I need to see more from the power play. It's got to feel threatening again. And for the last stretch here, it still hasn't felt that way. And part of it was injuries. Now Marner's back, and it still doesn't feel overly threatening. And maybe some of it is that they're hoping to get Matthews these goals on the power play, and so there's some hesitation by guys. But,
that's not. But
I was thinking about it last night where I'm like, okay, would you have shot there? It's kind of why I like Tavares there is he doesn't care. He's just going, he's hunting for himself. He's got his own goal scorer mentality. It's like he gets an opportunity, he rips it. But need the power play to get on track. Okay, so any other Leaf thought that you have before the playoffs start? Anything that you really care about or you want to get off your chest?
Well, we just talked about a lot of it, the questions that I had for you. So I guess I'll just ask you this since it's the last time I'm going to talk to you before the playoffs. And I know you and I can be long-winded. So I'll say in brief, what would be the thing that gives you the most confidence about the Maple Leafs going into the postseason and the thing that causes you the most concern? It's funny because I just tried to be like, don't think about how bad things could happen, and yet I do that all the time. So hypocritical because you said the most concerning, and I went, I have multiple. A self-aware hypocrite.
Yeah,
so those are acceptable hypocrites.
Sure.
I think.
I'm most excited by the fact that I think that there are multiple guys who can get them a goal in a big spot this year. Ryan O'Reilly was huge for this team last postseason, even though I think that he was kind of hurt. Looked like a guy who was slowing down, but man, it just felt so big having another centerman that you could rely upon, and they don't have that this season. But what they do have is players who I think could score a big goal in a big moment in abundance, that they can spread out the scoring, that it's not just going to feel like you're waiting for Matthews to come over the boards or else nothing's going to happen, especially if you're trailing in a hockey game. So the secondary scoring, but also the demeanor of some of the guys that are down there, where I really feel like they're not going to be afraid of being down in a series or being down in a hockey game. Like, I think Bertuzzi is going to play the way that Bertuzzi does, regardless of the situation. Domi, same thing. I think that you're going to get this out of McMahon. I like what I'm seeing from Nyes recently. So, like, the abundance of forwards that I think can come up with a big one outside of the core four, that is what I feel most confident about. What I'm most scared or what I'm nervous about is I would have said the blue line, because I still feel like they're trying to figure out the pairings and it's not been discussed a lot. Like, it's been the buried story in all of the success of Matthews and the Marner-Matthews pairing stuff and special teams and goaltending. So to me, the blue line still feels like they're really missing a guy and they don't know exactly who they're going to play. But ultimately, the thing that makes me the most nervous is what happened last night, which is Samsonov just breaks your back and you go, oh, right, even though you've played great and you're an awesome story, I don't think that there's a real, belief that it can't just go topsy-turvy and then all of a sudden you're throwing the kid in net who also hasn't looked the same since the injury. So, yeah, goaltending always makes me the most nervous. And I hate saying that because normally I find goaltending to be the easy excuse for this fan base and that it often gets too much ire and bears too much of the blame. But, yeah, it's there. It's there for me.
And sometimes, too, it's as much about your goaltender as it is who you have to go up against in a 7-game series and what their track record is or what their consistency levels have been during the season or just over the course of their career, right? So I think it's all about injuries and matchups once you get into an actual playoff series. So I get that, though. I don't disagree with you. I worry about the blue line only because I just feel like in covering multiple cup finals at this point, it's like I've never seen a team come into the final and not be playing through or dealing with major injuries to their back end. So while we might be able to figure out the pairings and it might be something that we can have some confidence in the early going, it's like, but what about once there's a major injury that takes a top 4 guy out? Or what if someone has to play with a broken ankle like I think it was Ekblad did in the final last year? How do we navigate that? Do the Leafs have enough depth and enough skill on the back end to get through the inevitable injuries that will happen if they plan to go 4 rounds deep? I don't know that they do.
See,
and I think other teams in the postseason do.
See, that's the part about them that I actually feel a little bit more confident in, is that they don't have top-tier guys, but they've got a lot of guys. Like, yesterday, the panel was talking about him, and Elliott and Kipper both had TJ Brody outside of the starting 6. And I went, I don't think TJ Brody has had a very good season. It's been rough for a lot of it. He has really looked his age. But if he and Giordano are your 7 and 8, that's pretty nice, right? Like, if I don't like Connor Timmins from a hockey standpoint, just don't see it. Don't trust him. Don't want to see him in a postseason. But if he's your number 9 defenseman, I can live in that world, right? I can live in that reality.
And also, I was just going to say, I'm a big believer in these intangible, weird, quirky, psychological
100%.
Motivating factors.
Yes.
And I think for Brody, it's like Brody not being in the lineup, for example, to start a series, but coming in for game 5, 6, 7 because someone gets hurt or someone's really not playing well. That's a guy that's not going to be overwhelmed by it, has playoff experience, but also is going to be so motivated to be like, F you, I deserve to be in this lineup, and I'm going to show you in this game when it matters the most. So I believe in those psychological tendencies, and I think Brody is a player that would be in I don't know if it's a good spot. That's probably not the right way to phrase it, but I do think that I would be like, okay, this guy's going to come back with a vengeance to try to prove himself in this spot. Whether he does it, I don't know, but I do think that could be kind of like a blessing in disguise. The fact that he's had this season where it's like, oh, is Brody lost a step? Does he have it anymore? And a chance for him to kind of shine when it matters most.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Okay, so before I move into the week that you just had, or birthday questions I have for you, is rank the top 5 Hart guys then. If you have to rank them, because you're national, okay? Even though you are Leafs. No, you don't want to do it?
No, I'll do it.
Want me to go first?
I'll do it. I just can't wait for my mentions to blow up.
No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You can't make it. Nobody's going to be happy. We've already said that. I think I mentioned it last night or maybe today already, but Somebody tweeted this: out of all the years, this should be the year where they just split it up into 5 and give everybody a chunk. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. But, yeah, if you had to do it, how would you do it?
Okay, as it stands today, I would put Nathan McKinnon first because
same.
Even just watch, like everyone likes to just look at point totals as like the best illustration of like what a player is, which I don't think is the accurate way to do it. I think it's part of it, obviously, and Nathan McKinnon has that. But it's just watching him play. Like, this guy is an absolute menace. He is so dominant in these games that it makes, to me, like, I feel like a fan again when I watch Nathan McKinnon play. So I just feel like he takes over games. He's taken his entire presence on the ice to a whole new level, and he's got the stats to back it up. Plus, he's from Nova Scotia, so I'll go with Nathan McKinnon, number 1.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that one because one is that if you look at like the across the board take for Nathan McKinnon, he's the best balance of all the things. He's the best balance of the goals. He's the best balance of the points. He's the best balance of the 200-foot player, right, that he's having this season. Best balance of the record, the team record. The next guy on his team in terms of point getting, right? Like him and Rantanen. I feel like McKinnon is the strongest case on balance out of everybody. Like, he's been the guy for the entire season. So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, he's an absolute horse this year. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. I now it's going to get hard. Already I'm like, ooh, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? I think, and this is my bias coming out probably, I think if Auston Matthews gets 70, which I do believe he will, I would probably put him at number 2 because I just think it's so special and it's so historic and it's something I've never seen, or it's happened in my lifetime, but like you, I'm not that old. I don't remember the last 70 goal scorer. I didn't watch 82 games of hockey that year. So I think it's super special. I think it illustrates just how incredible Auston Matthews is. And I think even at times, being as biased as I am towards the Maple Leafs, like, I don't know that I've fully appreciated just how special of a player that he is that we get to watch every night. And I think this has really driven it home for me. Plus, I just think that, especially in the first half of the season, I just think that a lot of those goals were really important for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think Matthews single-handedly won them a lot of games with some of those multi-goal efforts that maybe they didn't deserve to win. So when I look at it that way, I think that makes it even more valuable. I think you have to have Connor McDavid in there. He's having another incredible season, could hit 100 assists. I think on February 1st, he was like 20 points behind the scoring race lead or something like that. He brought it to within 1. He's missed a couple games now, so I don't know what the gap is at this point. I know it's gotten bigger again, but I just think it's unreal to think that his team was atrocious to start the year. He turned it on, was putting up over 2 points per game for like 25 games. You can't ignore it, and he's the best player in the world, so you can never go wrong having him in there. I think the final 2 spots I would have to go, I don't know what order. It doesn't really matter if you're not first, you're last, so it doesn't really matter. But I think that Pasternak has been unbelievable. He is far and away been the best player for the Boston Bruins, a team that isn't as elite as they have been in years past, I don't think. So he has been unreal. He has, I think it's like a 40-point gap or something, or 30-something point gap on his next closest teammate. I could be messing that up. But I think he's been unbelievable. And Kucherov, just always underhyped, but I think he has to be in there. I was going to say the points leader,
5. I was like, okay, so I'm close with you. As of today, I think that the Matthews 50 thing does change things for me too. The McDavid 100 assists and Kucherov 100 assists. I'm not trying to diminish those accomplishments. I think that they're unbelievable. I think they're incredible. I think fewer guys have done them than 50. Than 70 goals. I could also be wrong. You and I are doing a lot of could be wrong
right.
stats.
No, you're right. It is. It's fewer. I think it's only 3 guys or 4 guys.
Still like don't care. Still, it's assists. You can get one being secondary assist. Also, McDavid did get a coach fired this year, which I think should matter. And he does only have 31 goals. And so I have him lower out of all the guys. I have it right now. If Matthews scores 70, I would have him 3 behind Kucherov. I just think Kucherov with 141 points. It's Braden Point on his team that's next in points with 88.
Yeah.
He's also going to end up with 43 goals. There's a lot of power play merchant stuff, but I thought Tampa was dead this year. And I just think about what they would have been if they would even be here. Probably because everybody in these sucks. Maybe that diminishes the point, but I'd have him 2, Matthews 3. Matthews scores 70. Maybe I get in the same bias camp as you where I'm like, they did finish higher than Tampa in the standings, so maybe I give him that slight edge. And then I have, McDavid 4, Sid 5. And Sid is
you got Sid in there.
Yeah, I just think if you look at what he's doing to drag his team in the postseason now, and just the numbers that he has, and again, I do it emotionally, and also part of it is taking credit away from Domis, where I'm just like, you needed the guy that was an MVP caliber player just to squeak you into the final spot, Kyle. That's the only reason that it worked. But that's my top 5 as of today. I got McDavid 4, which I know would get me killed, but it's just how I feel.
And also, I just think it's the fact that there's so much debate about who the MVP could be, and it's not between 2 guys. It's between, I think there's 5, 6, maybe even 7 that you could make a legitimate, awesome case for. Just shows you how great this season has been.
Yeah, that Panarin's not even mentioned with 47 and 70. It's like he's not even in the mix, and it's like, yep, okay. Great year for stars. Great year for superstar players. People, I think, will look back on this year as being a very special one for hockey. I hope so anyways. 10, 15 years from now, when we are super old and when Armin and Mike are really mad because, I don't know, there's some, although they have no culture, so they won't be upset because everything is no permanent, so they won't remember anyways. But someday if they ever get mad about Dua Lipa not being known, then they will be they'll remember this year as being special. Okay, before you go, you want to do your week or birthday stuff?
That's up to you. I don't care. It's my birthday. We'll do whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that was the point. That was it. It's it's your birthday. So first of all, happy birthday to you. I can kind of tie these two things together. One is your week is insane. You did the WrestleMania thing, which was awesome. It was really cool to see on that, that stage, doing that kind of work. I was like, man, Jackie, come a long way since misplays, right? Or since drafted. So I thought that was really neat. That was cool.
I'm not just a blooper girl anymore.
No,
JD.
you're not just bloopers. And you're there. You're doing all this cool stuff, and you're flying back and forth to NHL Network studios and NHL on TNT, and making sure that you still get your work done. And now here you are doing a show at 9 a.m. on your birthday. So you really have to respect the hustle. It's undeniable. It's absolutely undeniable. But birthdays in your 30s, what is your level of celebration now? Because for me, I actually dread my birthday because it is a sign of getting older. I don't want to be surrounded. I don't even want people to know it's my birthday. I hate that. But you and I are very different. Are you a birthday week person still? What is your?
Oh God, no.
Okay, so
I've never been a birthday week person. Even when I was young and I was more into my birthday, I have never been even a multiple day celebration person. Those people drive me insane. I'm sorry, you get the day, you don't get the week. I've met people who have birthday months, and I'm like, I can't actually.
You've met people. You've met other women. That's not. There's never been a guy who's done birthday month. Never.
No, that's up for debate. But yes, it is more of a female tendency, I will say. But yes. First of all, you're asking me about birthdays in my 30s. I'm obviously 29 today, I don't know what you're talking about.
My bad, fam.
Yeah, you know what, fam? I love that you're just burying the term fam as you talk about old people versus young people. Is that term out? Is that still cool? We need to do another.
It's way out. I think it's way out. That's why it's fun to do. We need to do new slang. Segment. Yeah, we could definitely use some new slang injections.
Okay. So anyways, to answer your question, I like being acknowledged on my birthday. Who doesn't like people being like, happy birthday, love you so much, blah, blah, blah. Everyone likes attention. So I do enjoy that part of my birthday. But even now, I'm not a big celebratory person. And maybe it's because of my work schedule and because of my job. But even today, right, my husband made us dinner reservations and was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, honestly, I would much rather just have a nice home cooked meal, hang out, chill, watch some Netflix, maybe go in the hot tub and just be low key. And maybe it's because of the rest of my life is so hectic all the time But for me, like, I don't need a cake. I don't need any of that. I just want to chill.
Yeah.
And I'll be happy. So
listen, this is a clear sign that you've turned 29 because, this is getting, too real about this. I'm like, so I'm with you about, I love attention. I obviously do because I'm here, but birthday attention makes me feel queasy in some way. I don't like unearned attention. Like,
you know what I hate?
Yeah.
You know what I actually hate?
Yeah.
When people sing me happy birthday.
Oh,
it makes me want to crawl out of my body
Yeah.
and just die.
Yeah, but that's because the only
cannot
people who do that are your
stand it.
parents. So it's like anything your parents do makes you want to, crawl out of your body because it's painful, like in public. So no, it's that's linked to that, I think, more so than anything. But no, I hate birthday attention. I really do. When someone knows what my birthday is, I feel like they are blackmailing me. Like they can be like, happy birthday. I'm like, shut up. Don't let anybody know. Please, I'll do whatever you want. I'll give you the money. I'll wire it wherever you need. Just keep this on the download. Don't let me get this. Real attention for, accomplishments, that I like. Birthday attention, no, hate it. Hate it so very much. Like, the only other example I have for this is tragedy attention, which I also hate. Like if something really bad happens to you and people are like, constantly want to do that. I hate it. Oh God, I hate it so much. It's the worst. So that and birthdays, like they're tied 1A, 1B, in terms of the only attention that I do not want to receive. But I like your plan, and I think that you should go forward with that plan and do exactly what you want. You've earned it. You've only got one more birthday left in your 20s, so soak it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Jackie, congrats on what was a great week. I know it had to feel very, very cool. Oh, wait, before you go, what was your favorite part? What was your favorite part about doing all this? The whole WrestleMania thing, flying back and forth, being a true celeb. What was your favorite moment? What was your oh my God, I can't believe this is real moment? For me, when I saw it on your socials, it was you standing on the WrestleMania ramp and having the solo access as they were showing it, and I was like, this is pretty cool. That's a pretty cool shot.
Yeah, I think, I had so many firsts this year at WrestleMania, but I think, and there was obviously like big moments, like being on the floor when, Undertaker's music hits, which I didn't know was happening. I don't actually like to know what's happening. I like to just go in blind and not know how things are going to play out because I want to treat it like I'm a fan and be surprised. So, that was a huge moment. But I think for me personally, just coming out of the weekend and looking at everything, I was like, man, I hosted the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony this year. I could never host it again, but for the rest of my life, I could be like, I did that. I actually hosted a Hall of Fame ceremony, and where Paul Heyman's going in, and I'm standing in the middle of a wrestling ring, literally introducing The Rock to come out. Never in my life did I think I would find myself in a position where I'm on a stage introducing Dwayne The Rock Johnson. But that happened for me this weekend. And so, 10-year-old, I'm a 12-year-old me who loved The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Hardy Boys and was very much a fan of the Attitude Era in wrestling. To me, that's pretty wild that I just did that. So, and no matter what happens, I could be fired from all my jobs tomorrow and never work again, but I'd be like, that's pretty cool that I got to do that.
It's very cool. That is very, very cool. Jackie, happy birthday. Yeah. I hope everybody wishes you a happy birthday because that is what you said you wanted. So everybody that's listening to this show, at Jackie Redmond. And go enjoy the rest of your day. See you, Jackie.
Thanks, JD. Appreciate it. Go Leafs.